It's funny. Recording is just courting again.
That's not what we're using as the opening.
Hey, cue the music.
And cue the music. And cue.
Unless you have something better.
I mean, I was gonna say something else, but I do kind of I like just the disappointment. We're not using that. All right. Okay. Hey everyone, welcome back to TV Guys, the show that has a new resolution for this year. Get a better co-host. I'm Matt.
I'm Brian. So am I ditching you or are you ditching me?
We'll let the audience decide what's.
We're both
But
going
we
to
all
be
know.
ditched, and it's going to be like Terrence and Paul.
No, it'll be Elijah coming back and just hosting this on his own.
Yeah. I liked Elijah.
Yeah. If you missed that episode, that is online right now. We talked about the Santa Clauses, and my son got to join us. So that was a unique experience and a lot of fun and a little bit of silliness. Well, a lot of silliness. Let's call it what it is.
We opened the door for him to make silly noises, and then he just ran with it.
He's like, I can? All right.
Yeah.
Usually, I have that door shut for Brian. Because the first episode he tried it, we're like, no, and then he had to edit it out of there, and he hasn't tried it yet.
Pretty much, yep.
That's not true. I know you have made so. We have highlighted our weird noises or impersonations or music that we've done. We've had some of those over the years.
Yeah, I remember you recorded a whole musical number for the intro of one of our podcasts.
I did. That's true.
Just more work than I usually put in.
You have cumulative more work, so I just every now and then I do a lot, and that'll just see me through for the whole year.
Well, I will admit to you, Matt, and to all of our listeners. So basically, when I'm editing the podcast, for the most part, I'm just listening and seeing if I need to cut out any pauses or noises or whatever, And so sometimes if I'm especially working overnights, I'm like zoning out. I'm like, oh, I just fell asleep the last 10 minutes. It'll be fine. So hopefully I didn't leave anything in.
This long racial slur rant, because we do those
Yes.
that you just happen to leave in.
No, usually I know going into it if there's any big things to cut out. This has been how it's made with the podcast.
Dun dun. Well, I think your New Year's resolution is to not have that happen anymore. But speaking of New Year's resolutions, so we thought it would be fun if we took a number of characters from TV shows and gave them a New Year's resolution for this year, something that could, really help them out. So I grabbed about half a dozen, and Brian grabbed about half a dozen as well. And so we're going to tell you our 12 New Year's resolutions, starting with, well, I'll start with mine. Yeah. So, for instance, one of them that I thought of is our good friend Archer from the show Archer. Okay. I think a great resolution for him would be just, not give it up cold turkey, but maybe bring it down to one drink a day. This guy, like, his bloodstream is like 3% alcohol right now. And every single episode, like 4 or 5 drinks in the episode. And sometimes that's over the course of just a couple hours in real time. So I think if Archer, brought it back a little bit, maybe there'd be some issues that would go away in his life and he'd realize the depths of his alcoholism.
Yeah. I've only seen the one episode of Archer you gave me last year, but I think that's a good goal.
Well, even that episode would have been, some of the crisis would have been averted if he wasn't so focused on having dry ice for his drinks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There you go.
Well, anytime that you can comment on you should drink less, you're probably drinking too much.
Yeah. So has your drinking influenced your belief in the teachings of the Mormon Church? That's another reference to a different show, which might be on your list. I don't know. Might have a character from there.
I vaguely remember that. Wait, is that Community?
Nope. But it's right stream. It's Office. With,
okay.
Meredith.
Oh yeah, the Moroccan Christmas. I don't have anybody from The Office, although we could.
I mean, Meredith could have the exact same goal. Hers may be more cold turkey, but.
Yeah,
we could do this episode for just Office characters.
But here's the thing: is like they did that episode. They did a New Year's resolution episode.
They did, didn't they?
Yeah, remember Creed wanted to learn how to do a cartwheel, and Kevin wanted to eat vegetables, and he ate broccoli stem first.
Yes. Yep. And Michael was going through his stuff because Holly didn't break up with AJ after giving him the ultimatum at New Year's. So
That's actually why I didn't put anyone in office. I'm like, well, they already did this episode. Like, if they hadn't done that, then we could like think of fun stuff the characters could do. I'm sure we could think of more, but I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna talk about shows that, as far as I remember, haven't done that.
but it's good to hit on that since they have had that as an episode. So there you go. All right, hit us with one.
Okay, I'm gonna start with, let's see, the entire cast of Cobra Kai. Less gang wars.
See, you kind of took mine because mine was anyone from Cobra Kai. Just call the police. Just do that. Get like a non-emergency number in your phone. Yep. Just be ready to go. Report these things. Let them know. Get them involved in some community action here.
Yeah, because like I'm all for martial arts, self defense. If your kids want to do that, I don't think they should be subject to do gang wars and have like 50-year-old guys using them as pawns in their own personal issues.
You didn't have that as part of your formative years growing up?
I don't think so. A 50-year-old man didn't use me to punch another 50-year-old man's kids.
Oh, my friend, you are missing out.
So yeah,
I gotta follow up to that.
Yeah. All right. Why don't you go? I would go another one. You have more of mine, so it'll keep the balance.
Okay.
If you go. Yeah.
Let's do a more recent show. I would put, and I know that there's like a tie into the movies because that's just the nature of how these things go. But Wanda Maximoff from WandaVision could really use a counselor. Just maybe go in for some grief counseling. I think that could really help her out. Yep. And there's a widespread stuff that happens in the MCU. But I mean, even just for WandaVision and capturing, that's not capturing or enslaving. Those are the two words I combined. Enslaving an entire town because of your grief, even if she doesn't mean to. There's some issues there. So you know what
I'd love to see, piggybacking off of that, I'd love to see her sitting there going like rambling off her issues, and then it cuts to Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner being like, I thought I told Tony I'm not this kind of doctor.
You guys need to find someone who's qualified for this.
Because then it's a callback to was that Iron Man 2
Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3, yeah.
Yep. And then you could do the exact same gag with Doctor Strange, and he also is like, nope, I don't do this either. Yeah. And then Wong, of course, would be willing to offer because Wong's awesome and just sticks his nose. He's a little oblivious to where his powers and jurisdiction end and begin. So
yeah, but I mean, Mark Ruffalo, that's it'd be good for a callback, and he's still actively doing MCU stuff, not as much but he popped up in She-Hulk, and I'm sure we'll see him again.
I think you're right, especially now that he's got a son. Spoiler alert!
Well, She-Hulk is 3-4 months ago? I think it's past the point of spoiler alerts.
Yeah, I mean, I also said spoiler alert after I gave the spoiler. Bruce Willis was dead the whole time. Oh, by the way, there's a spoiler here.
Whenever someone talks about generic movie spoilers, that's their go-to every time.
It is. I mean, it used to be probably, like when I was a kid in the 90s before that came out, was probably I'm Your Father. That is the spoiler.
But now, so like, Star Wars is so much in the zeitgeist that even people who aren't Star Wars fans know that. Yeah.
Yep, for sure. Mm-hmm. I felt like it had that too in the 90s. I think that people knew, like, I mean, it was referenced in Tommy Boy, and it was like he's talking to the fan. People know that spoiler, but now people know this one too.
I mean, if you go back to the 80s, that probably was a big spoiler.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So I'll do one of mine. Mine is is for two different characters. Actually, you know what? Only one of mine is for one specific character, but it's for both Dean Craig Pelton and Ben Chang, which is maybe cut down on the number of times you put your name into a pun. Keep that on the Dean low. Chang, the amount of times you do that.
Well, the Dean is using his title. Let's be fair.
Okay, fair. But I mean, he even called out where like the worst season with the worst storyline, like when Chang was pretending to be Kevin, he's like he's putting his name into puns. That must be new. And the Dean's like, no, he's always Dean that. It's like both of them all back to back.
The little common thread that I liked of the Dean was only contained in one episode. I just love when he goes in the tech thing and he just keeps doing the Jesus wept. Like, stop saying Jesus wept.
But the thing is, like, Jim Rash is an amazing comedian, and he knows how to make that character funny. And like, it's funny, like those are the two weirdest characters, and you're talking about a licensed medical doctor and like an Oscar winning writer.
Yep. And Jim Rash won for the Descendants with that could have been I think that has been our trivia before, but
Yeah,
the Descendants
sure.
starring George Clooney, he wrote that.
Mhm.
I in my mind I had confused it for the longest time and thought like he was one of the writers of the song Man or Muppet or Man.
Okay.
Because I think that actually won the same year, if I
Yeah.
recall correctly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, and I think the Dean is easily one of the best characters of that show. He's one of the funniest characters of that show. But it's like kind of like in real life, this guy would be so annoying to be around every day.
yeah, he's definitely one of those that you need him in moderation, and they don't overdo him too much. And
No.
even when they do, then they make himself aware of like the what is it the where he's dressed half and half, and then like
Yeah.
in the middle of his thing, he's like, "What am I doing, guys? Well, I have to go to the bank later today. What am I going to tell them?"
Yeah. Or the episode where Troy and Abed are pretending to switch bodies, and then he pretends to switch bodies with Jeff. So spent the whole episode being Jeff to the point, and he's so good at it that he's starting to like turn Annie on just by pretending to be Jeff, even though it's the Dean. And she's like, "What is happening?"
And yet it was early on when the Dean is filming the commercial and Jeff
Oh,
goes full Dean, and that was fantastic. Such good
yeah,
acting by Joel McHale.
yeah,
All right, back on track.
yes.
Let's go with another group of dysfunctional people, and we'll pick out one for my New Year's resolution. I think Job from Arrested Development. He
Okay.
needs a life coach. You know, he keeps having the "I've made a terrible mistake" over and over and over. And you
Okay.
know, if he had just had someone he could talk through his choices
Mhm.
with, maybe things would go a little bit better for him.
Okay, Matt. Not that I disagree, but can you name a character on the show that doesn't need a life coach?
I mean, I was going to add that too, but I think Job specifically, as he's calling that out over and over and over,
Yes.
I it like here's the question: of all those characters, who do you think would listen best to a life coach?
Trying to think here. It's
Um,
not Michael because Michael would think he doesn't need it. So neither of the
George Michael would, but he's such an obvious answer.
yeah, maybe would just manipulate them. I think maybe Tobias, but he would listen, but he would like think he's taking their advice, but he would mess it up horribly.
That is absolutely true. That's a great Tobias quirk of like, yeah, I think I'm helpful and I think I'm whatever, and just
Yeah.
nope, makes it worse.
He would have good intentions, but horrible execution.
That is Tobias Fuke to a T,
Yeah.
100%.
I love when he's being Mary Poppins and he jumps off the balcony.
Just smashes through the table. Just, ow. And then I don't remember who it's either Job or Michael just sitting there on the couch, and they just like kind of scoot over just and then put their feet back on the table.
All right.
All right, who do you got?
All right. I'm gonna go with another group of people. Okay, say the town of Hawkins, Indiana. Have one normal holiday, just one, without an end of the world monster.
Well, that's not so much their fault. You know, I'm going to lump my pick in here with
Okay.
that because mine is very similar. Ray and Deborah Barone, move. Just move.
Yeah.
Just, you know, sell your house, go somewhere else. That's going to fix a lot of your issues. They had the one episode even in that where it's like the flashback to when they first moved. Yeah.
Yes.
The hot zone. Like, that's a good strategy.
Yep.
Figure that out. Same with people in Hawkins.
Yep. So listeners, this is basically he had a zone with his parents' house in the center. He's like, all right, now the close zone is what we don't want because that if my mother can make a pie get to us before it's cold, it's too close. And like the farthest zone, you might think that's the best one. No, because we're in that zone where they become overnight guests. But you are the middle where there's too far for pie, too close for overnight.
Exactly. Just that sweet spot.
And they end up across the street.
Yep.
And I mean,
Deborah didn't listen to him.
Nope. And they've talked multiple times with the show how like Ray is doing well. He's makes decent money. I'm sure there's a house in the zone. Although the problem with that is how much you want to bet they move, Marie moves.
True. There was the one nice episode when Marie and Frank were going to move into the. Actually, they did end up moving
Oh
into
yeah,
an assisted living, but they just made the residents there so upset. They're like, "We can't have them here anymore. You have to take them back."
yeah,
And then what? Robert and Amy, because they sell their apartment or get new people
yeah,
in there, and then they're going to take the house. They have to be living with their parents again.
yeah.
Such a
That was a good
fun
one.
turn of
Yeah,
events.
but I suppose yeah, with Hawkins, Indiana, they can just move. Well, some of them can move, but I think we found out that 11 is linked, and that I think Vecna would seek out 11 no matter where she is,
Yeah.
and as by extension, the close cast who is close to her would also that would follow her them as well.
But even though she's linked, there still needs to be that kind of I don't want to say portals, but that's the best word I can think of like the portals from Upside Down to the real world.
The
And
gates is what they
those
call
are
them.
all the gates, there you go,
Yeah,
all in Hawkins.
yeah.
And so it's like they had maybe did they have one out in California where they're experimenting on 11 in that other site? Or because I think they were all just in Hawkins. And if 11 moves away, yeah, sure, he has to come up. He would still be after her, but he'd have to come through the gate and then, traverse the distance of the country or what have you.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seems like every time there's a holiday. What was the first one? Was it like Thanksgiving or Christmas? It was in November. No, it was just random day in
Yeah,
November.
it was pretty close to Christmas. It wasn't officially Christmas, but
Mhm.
because like they had the Christmas lights, it was in that Christmas season.
Yeah, and then it was Halloween, and then the Fourth of July, and
Yep.
was season four a holiday?
No, I think it was just a generic like spring break.
Oh, that's right. It
Right.
was spring break. Yeah, it's always marked by something.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Matt. What's one of yours?
All right. Let's jump into the Breaking Bad universe because
Okay.
Jesse Pinkman, he should get a degree. He's shown like especially later on, and like when he gets clean, like he's shown that he has an aptitude for business. He is smart. He does well when he applies himself,
Hmm.
and he also even has like an artistic side too. He was in a band. He loved like the creations of the woodworking that he did, and so like Jesse has this all different side to him that's just completely hidden under. I'm just going to take what's easy. I'm going to take the easy way out.
Hmm.
And I think, and like he even does try for a job in the first season and they want to give him like an entry level position or something, or it's like the sign spinner or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And he has the aptitude to do something bigger and something greater. And he starts to have that realized by working under Walt. But, it's just, it's in a very bad setting, to put that into a more professional setting or
Yeah.
something good.
Well, even though
You want,
yeah, even though they were cooking meth, you think if Walter took the time to be a better mentor and was not just horrible manipulator, then he may have been a good push for him.
yeah, because Walter does care about Jesse. He doesn't care about a whole lot, but he does care about Jesse,
Hmm.
and much to his own detriment. And
Yes.
so, if he could allow himself to fully care in a healthy way and push him to something better than to just, I care, but I also care about manipulating you, etc.
Yeah.
What a sad show when you just think about it overall. It's like it is so depressing, but it was just so well written.
Yeah, I suppose you could say you take the Marty McFly complex of no one ever calls me chicken, and then amplify it to like I have to be the best. You get Walter White.
Which we know that was Marty's best quality is no one calls me chicken.
Yeah, it's like a loose through line that comes up every now and then, but it's not like a huge big like every scene's about it kind of deal.
Yeah, and they created it in the second one because like they didn't have any touch of it in the first one, but they created that in the second one because like, well, we need to have some sort of character arc for him through both these movies, so they brought that up as a little recurring thing hanging over his head.
Yeah. All right. Going back to one of mine. Mine is another duo. It's Hitchcock and Scully from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Okay. Do 3 productive things at work every day.
Oh, whoa. You're shooting for the moon here. 3 together or 3 each?
3 together, between the 3 of them.
Even then, that's really
file
pushing
a report, mop a floor, do something useful 3 times every day.
Gosh, one of my favorite Hitchcock is I can't remember which one. I think it was Scully. But when he's showing like he takes off his sock and shows his foot to
Oh yeah,
Amy, and it's like all of the bottom of it is like black, and she's like talks was like, "Oh, clean your feet." And it's like, "Oh no, that's all wart."
no,
And she's like,
it was Jake.
"Oh,
It's
Jake."
Jake. Then Jake like throws up. He's like, it's all Mort.
That's that's such a great, disgusting line. Or how they were actually good at the escape room by accident,
Yes.
and Holt was terrible at it.
Or how like at Holt's party that none of them were supposed to be there. They thought they were a gay couple, so then they were just dancing like they think we're gay. I don't know what to do. I mean, they're clearly there not to have a crazy like big character development. They're just there for comedic relief. But
Yep.
it's like I wish they would touch on like, oh, we can't fire these guys because of union or whatever. Because I mean, as much as Holt is can be a softie at times, he's still no nonsense, and he would have fired them. I think if he could.
Yeah. I mean, we did get a flashback of them, but that was it.
Yeah, it's like every now and then they might do something productive, either by accident or for a story point. But for the most part, they're not the characters you're supposed to really root for and like show change and development.
Yeah.
That's
You're
everybody else.
supposed to feel about them as everyone else in the precinct does.
Yes,
All right, I'll keep it going with a cop. So in the show Gotham, I don't know how much you've watched of it.
none, not
So
him.
so in Gotham, every single season is James Gordon, who ends up becoming Commissioner Gordon
Yep.
in Batman lore, as a rookie cop, and he's kind of climbing the ladder of success, but he doesn't trust anyone, and he has like this white knight complex where he has to be the guy to save everyone, and because like he doesn't trust people or let other people help him, everything is a detriment. So for James Gordon, I'm just saying, get a deputy. Like
Yeah,
that's your thing. Be willing to ask someone for help. Get someone who you can trust, or start training up someone you can trust, because you can't do it all. And when you try and do it all, everything goes to hell. So
yeah. So, did they ever make the joke in Gotham that it's spelled like got ham?
believe it or not, they don't. I will say Gotham has a unique tone where like they lean into the dark humor of it. And so
Yeah,
there is some comedy. It's not specifically a funny show, but there definitely is some comedic parts that are like, this is really dark, but it's kind of funny.
yeah.
It's,
Matt,
it's a weird show.
yeah, Matt, how many do you have left?
I got one.
Okay, so do I. All right, my one is yes, and I did talk about Muppets in this. I'm talking about my favorite Gonzo. Okay, which is have less broken bones this year.
Does he ever actually break them?
It's never specified, but with everything he does, there's no way he doesn't.
I have this mental image of his arm in a sling from something.
Might be. I'm trying to dive into the recesses of my Muppet knowledge. I've seen everything they've done, probably at some point. I do know at one point he became a flattened like a pancake because in the Garth Brooks episode of Muppets Tonight, he was like skydiving. He was like, he shot himself out of a rocket and then just landed.
That's fair.
Yeah,
That's Gonzo.
yep. Because he was going to do it with Garth Brooks, and then Garth Brooks was like, "No, I'm going to sing a song instead." And then he does what he does because he's Garth Brooks.
Someone needs to sit Gonzo down and tell him people are laughing at you, not with you. If they are requiring you to shoot you out of a cannon to be your friend, they're not really your friend, Gonzo.
Okay, the problem with that kind of method is no one's ever tricking him into it. He's the one who comes up with the ideas.
True. I mean,
Yeah,
that like saying that puts them up. It's in a negative light that they're just kind of like using him, and they're not. It's
yeah.
like that's just something he enjoys doing.
Well, it's like in the very opening of The Great Muppet Caper, Kermit, Gonzo, and Fozzie are in a hot air balloon, and Gonzo says, "We should do this one time without the balloon." What, plummeting? Yeah.
I like that Gonzo in like recent decades has become kind of the heart of the Muppets because he's like one of the last original performers left.
Yes. He is
And
the last original
or,
performer.
yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And so it's like, anything that they've been doing ever like I go back to Muppet Christmas Carol where he's like the heart of it and telling the story and like,
Mhm.
but then you go to the most recent thing that I can remember of Muppets Haunted Mansion, and it's like all about Gonzo and
Yeah,
him and Pepe.
yeah,
But it's like Gonzo just keeps popping up as like he's the heart, he's the heart, he's the heart.
yep. And
When
that's why he's one of my favorites. He's the heart of it, and he's also got like the wacky zany humor. He's the best of both of what the Muppets have to offer.
yeah, Gonzo's
And
great.
he is great. So there are three main. This is random, but just to keep talking about Gonzo, or there's three main signature looks of Gonzo. You go back to the Muppet Show. He was one of the ones. He had the purple tuxedo,
Mhm.
and then in the '90s he turned into like the chili pepper T-shirt with like with a tie. It's a kind of a cool, more modern look. And then there's also before and after, like in the '80s, he was big into the sweater vest. He had a sweater vest look, and now it's kind of like it's a mixture. You don't really see the chili pepper shirt anymore, but the others are kind of a mixture as to what you see from Gonzo.
I do not pay attention to what they wear. I don't pay. To be fair, I don't pay attention to what like anyone wears.
Okay, cool. That means you can be naked around Matt. He won't even notice.
I might. There's a chance. Like there's 50-50. Flip a coin. It's like we're talking, all of a sudden I'm like, wait a second, you're naked, you moron. I would say that. I would say it just like that.
All right, Matt, what's your one?
We have our like bingo card of shows we're supposed to
Yep.
talk about, and I wanted to do this for you. And so I'm talking about Rita Repulsor,
Okay.
and for her, just get a hobby. Like every single episode is, I'm going to destroy the Power Ranger. It's like, do you have anything better to do with your life? Do something creative. Do
Yes.
something productive. Go bird watching. Get a puzzle. Start binging a show. Do something fun. Like just take a day off. You might really like the Rita you get to know.
Yeah.
She just needs something constructive to, like, when you've got this much attention focused on one thing and being so obsessed, like, well, maybe put that to something constructive and see what you get out of it.
Well, she may have eventually during the Turbo season. So let me explain. I won't make this long, but so trajectory of Rita Repulsa. Season 1, she was the villain, sending the villain, just like you said, always doing that. Then when Lord Zed came, he shipped her off in the space dumpster, and she was there for a while. She came back, tricked Zed into marrying her, and then she was doing the same thing. I'm going to send a monster. I'm going to send a monster. Then in Power Rangers Zeo, they got kicked out of the castle by the Machine Empire, and they were literally driving around in a space RV on the moon, sending monsters occasionally to steal from there.
That's fair.
And then they were missing throughout the whole Turbo season. And maybe she had a hobby there, because at one point Divatox, the new villain, called Rita. Is like, do you know how to destroy the Power Rangers? And she's like, oh, if I did that, I wouldn't be sitting here listening to this. And it's Lord Zed snoring next to her. As the only appearance they ever had in Turbo.
I'm retired.
So maybe she did end up having that.
What sort of pension did she get from a career of trying to destroy the Power Rangers? That's what
I don't know. She ended up marrying her boss, and he was also just as unsuccessful as she was.
Rita, you are an HR disaster, lady. Just get your life together, okay?
Yeah. Also, your help is not very helpful. Goldar doesn't do anything.
No. And any monster you send gets its butt whooped. Like, it's always the same thing. It looks promising for a little bit. But that's just because they get really, really big before the Power Rangers do. That's it.
Yeah.
Gosh, Rita.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. There are our 12 characters that we gave New Year's resolutions for. There are a lot we could have gone through. There's a lot we could have talked about. We didn't even hit on Friends. We didn't hit on anything before the 90s, I think. No, I guess Muppets technically. And
yeah.
But
Gonzo dates back to the 70s.
He does, yeah. But apart from that, there's a lot that we could talk about. There's a lot that really needs some help. So, I mean, you comment. Let us know what are some good resolutions for some characters. Maybe the characters we mentioned, maybe different ones.
Or do you have resolutions for us as we're starting a new season of the podcast?
Like, don't talk about Muppets anymore. Too bad. We do what we want. To quote Adam Sandler. I have the microphone and you don't.
Yeah.
So you will listen to every dang word I have to say.
We've done a whole episode about the Muppets now. Maybe we need to do a whole Power Rangers episode at some point.
I don't want to do that. Like, sure, I'll bring it up. I don't want to have to subject myself to that. It hasn't aged well. I guarantee. I don't even need to watch it to know that it hasn't aged well. I'll be like, this is not at all for adults.
Okay. I'll wear you down eventually.
Oh gosh. Well, I did do a Gilmore Girls episode, so
Yep, I got you to do the Gilmore Girls. I got you to do Muppets. I don't know what we'll do.
Okay, Muppets wasn't like you coerced me. I love the Muppets.
Okay. Hey, listeners, I bet if I get one listener to comment in support, I can get Matt to do it. Just one of you.
All it takes is one.
Yep.
I bet that 100 of you can't comment on it. Yeah. There you go.
Right.
Use that FU energy and just come at me.
All right. Well, we're gonna go into trivia now, unless you got anything else, Matt.
No, I'm good.
So last week, we talked about the best shows of 2022, and I said Josh Peck, better known from Drake and Josh, was a recurring character on 2 of the shows we talked about last week from 2022. The answer is he was a recurring character on How I Met Your Father as Hilary Duff's love interest, which was weird seeing Josh make out with Lizzie McGuire. And he was also a recurring star on iCarly with his Drake and Josh co-star Miranda Cosgrove.
There you go. And today we talked about Power Rangers because of course we did. And early in Power Rangers history, there was an actor who's pretty famous today. He is the main character in another show that we mentioned. But what actor guest starred? I guess at that point he wasn't really a star, but what actor gave his voice for characters early on in Power Rangers?
Yep. In fact, one of the Power Rangers' last name is named after this actor.
Look at you.
I expanded your trivia.
You expanded and you blew my mind. Well, welcome to 2023. Hope it's been great so far. We're going to have a lot of great episodes coming at you. We're going to finally talk about Better Call Saul, the final season. We're going to talk about Rings of Power, whether you liked it or didn't like it. Yep. We've got other things that are coming up in that time frame too.
We're going to talk about Wednesday, which, yes, I'll admit it's a teen drama, but I loved it.
We're going to talk about Wednesday on Thursday. So there you go.
But you know what?
Get used to that joke. I'm going to say it multiple times in the episode. I guarantee it.
I'm talking about days of the weeks. I'm still mad about this. This was like a year and a half ago when we did our crossover with Movies on a Monday to talk about WandaVision. Your podcast is called Movies on a Monday, right? And I edited that episode. I stayed up all night editing that so you could upload it on a Monday, and you still forgot and uploaded it late.
It's called Movies on a Monday, but it's whenever. We're chill.
You really gotta pick the bad title for that podcast, I think.
Well, we suck. So
the podcast is good. I'll admit, I listen to it.
There it is.
Yeah,
we need to do a couple. Well, we haven't had episodes in that for like 6 months, and I think we're going to do like some final episodes of that. And so that should be coming this next month too. So cool. If you were a fan of Movies on a Monday, we'll have a couple episodes coming up pretty soon. And then that's it. We're going to say goodbye to you guys, and we'll sing a song together. It'll be great. That's not true. But Team Guys isn't going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. We'll see you throughout 2023. Until next time, I'm Matt.
I'm Brian.
And we're reminding you to stay tuned and keep watching.